A worker laying tiles accidentally steps on a hammer. The hammer falls from a high place and smashes a billboard. Down below, a man walking by is killed instantly. At the same time, another strange accident happens. A homeless man drags a manhole cover through the street without realizing it pushes away a stone blocking a car. Because of inertia, a fuel truck starts sliding downhill. It crashes straight into a car from the US Embassy. Gasoline sprays everywhere, and a cigarette butt dropped by the homeless man ignites the fuel. What looks like a series of coincidences is actually carefully planned, and it all begins with a little boy. Jack has never been sick since the day he was born. People see him as a freak. No children want to be near him. Even animals instinctively avoid him, because the night he was born, a comet crashed onto Earth. According to a biblical prophecy, this comet signals the arrival of the devil, and a great disaster for humanity is about to begin. At the same time, a diplomat named George also has a son, but the newborn dies shortly after birth. Worse still, his wife's womb is badly damaged, and she may never be able to get pregnant again. A priest then brings George to another delivery room. A baby has just been born there. At the exact moment George's child died, the baby's mother passed away during childbirth. He has no family left. The priest asked George to adopt the child and raise him as his own. To protect his wife from heartbreak, George switches the babies and hides the truth. Under their careful care, Jack grows up healthy and safe. After a senior embassy official dies in an accident, George naturally takes his position. Everything seems to be going perfectly, but on Jack's 6th birthday, tragedy strikes again. At the birthday party, everyone is celebrating Jack, but a guard dog nearby behaves strangely. After the nanny looks into the dog's eyes, she walks toward the rooftop, a rope already tied around her neck. Without hesitation, she jumps. Everyone is horrified. A journalist happens to capture the terrifying moment. George rushes to hug his son and comfort him, but Jack shows no fear at all. Instead, he calmly waves at the guard dog in the distance. The next day, reporters flood the embassy. Jack's birthday party makes the headlines. The journalist who took the first photo is accidentally knocked to the ground by George.
It's all right, it's all right. You okay? Very sorry. Please, send me the bill. I'll cover the charges.
All right, sir. Let's just say that you owe me one.
Not long after, a priest comes to see George. His target is clear: George's son, Jack. The priest claims he knows Jack was adopted. He says Jack is not human, but a demon from hell. He even claims Jack's real mother was a black dog. George is shocked, but he refuses to believe such madness. He calls security and has the priest thrown out. Outside the gate, the priest is photographed again by the same reporter. Back home, George grows restless, partly because of the priest's words, and partly because he still can't find a nanny. After a full day of interviews, no one is suitable. Then a woman named Lisa appears at his door and introduces herself. She wasn't even on the interview list, but after talking with her, George decides to let her stay. What he doesn't know is that this decision will bring deadly danger to his wife. While developing photos at home, a journalist notices something strange. In every photo of the priest, there's a mysterious white glow above his head. At first, he thinks it's just an exposure issue, but he soon realized that in every single photo of the priest, there was a strange white light above his head. That day, George plans to take his child to church, but as soon as they get close, Jack suddenly goes completely berserk. He attacks wildly, leaving his mother badly injured and bleeding. George immediately tells the driver to turn back. Only then does his son slowly calm down. After returning home, George's wife begins to feel something is wrong. She realizes that since birth, their son has never once been sick. That's not normal. But George, afraid the truth, that Jack isn't his biological son, might be exposed, can only keep comforting her. That night, George checks on his sleeping son. Suddenly, he notices a large black dog in the room, staring at him viciously. Only after the nanny scolds it does the dog finally calm down. The nanny explains she found the dog while taking Jack out to play. Jack liked it so much, she decided to bring it home. The next day, the priest finds George again and asks to meet him by a bridge near the church. He says he only needs 5 minutes and promises he'll never appear again afterward. After saying this, the priest walks away. The journalist quickly snaps more photos of him. Later, while developing them at home, the white glow is still there, exactly the same. To finally get rid of the priest, George agrees to the meeting. The priest tells him George's wife is already pregnant, but the child, Jack, will never allow that baby to be born. He will first kill the unborn child, then his wife, and finally George himself. The only way to stop it is to find another priest named Father Brown. George refuses to believe him. He angrily warns the priest to stay away from his family and never come back again. Shortly after George leaves, the weather suddenly turns violent. The priest knows this is punishment for revealing the truth. He runs toward the nearby church, but the doors are locked. A bolt of lightning strikes the rooftop, snapping the lightning rod in half. It falls at terrifying speed and pierces straight through the priest's body. When George returns home, his wife tells him she's pregnant. The priest was right. But when George checks his mail, he discovers the priest died in an accident last night, and everything the priest warned about is slowly starting to come true. The woman was standing on a stool taking care of the plants. Suddenly, the little devil came speeding toward her on a scooter. She had no time to react. She fell straight down from a high place. Anna was rushed into the emergency room, but because she was pregnant, she tragically lost the baby. That was when George finally realized how serious things had become. At that moment, the journalist reached out to George. He told him about a shocking discovery. At a birthday party, he once took a photo of the nanny. In that photo, there was a strange glowing ring around her neck. Not long after, she jumped off a building and killed herself. The same kind of light later appeared around a priest's neck. Soon after that, the priest also died in an accident. That's when they understood the truth. The light was a symbol of death. George and the journalist decided to investigate further. They went to the priest's former home. The walls inside were covered with Bible verses, as if he was trying to protect himself from some evil force. In the priest's diary, they found detailed records of George's family. It even mentioned that 6 years ago, on the day the child was born, a comet appeared in the sky. Every clue pointed to one terrifying truth. It was all connected to George's own son. He didn't want to believe it, but he had no choice anymore. As for why the journalist cared so much, there was a reason. By accident, he once took a photo of himself, and around his neck, there was the same deadly glow. To uncover the truth, they had to find the priest who convinced George to adopt the child in the first place. They quickly rushed to the hospital where the baby was born, but the place was completely different now. 6 years ago, a massive fire broke out there, causing heavy casualties. That's why the hospital was later rebuilt into another building. At the entrance, they met a nun. She told them that after George took the baby away, a mysterious fire broke out in the maternity ward. All the records were destroyed. However, she did give them information about the priest from back then. Without hesitation, the two set off on a long journey, crossing the ocean and traveling thousands of miles. Eventually, they found the priest on a remote island. The fire had burned him beyond recognition. He could no longer speak properly. After George begged him again and again, the priest communicated through writing and revealed the burial place of Jack's biological mother. Seeing what the priest had become, George decided not to push him any further. Following the location, they arrived at a cemetery. They first opened the grave of Jack's so-called mother, but inside was the skeleton of a jackal. Then George opened the grave next to it. Inside was the remains of a baby. That baby was his real son. Years ago, the priest had lied, telling him his child died at birth. The real reason was to make him adopt the son of the devil. At the same time, the little devil Jack arrived at the hospital with the nanny. After distracting the nurse, the nanny injected Anna with poison. Anna died in agony on the hospital bed. The nanny injected poison into the woman's IV drip, then covered her mouth so she couldn't scream. Just like that, the woman died in agony on the hospital bed. George soon got the news. He was furious. So the two of them hurried on to find Brown, the man the dead priest had mentioned. Brown laid out a row of knives that had been blessed with holy water. He told George that only these knives could kill the little devil. Each knife had to be stabbed all the way to the handle, and together they had to form the shape of a cross.
The first knife is the most important, for it extinguishes physical life and sets the center of the cross. The subsequent knives extinguish spiritual life and radiate outwards.
George hesitated.
This is a child we're talking about. A small boy who I've raised as my own son.
He's not your son, he's a beast, a beast! He's evil incarnate, and don't you forget that!
What if you're wrong? What if he isn't?
I'm not wrong!
George couldn't bring himself to hurt the child. To convince him, the priest said the boy had a birthmark, a mark made up of the number 6 hidden beneath the skin under his hair. Even then, George backed out at the last moment. Left with no choice, the journalist picked up the weapon himself and chased after George, trying to stop him. But no matter what he said, George wouldn't listen.
Listen to yourself. Do you have any idea what you're saying? You're asking me to stab a child, a little boy. Can't you see how insane that is? It's not real, Keith. There is no devil, there is no God, there is only here and now and life. And that is something I would never take away from any man, certainly not my own son. If you won't, I will.
But the moment he picked up the weapon, a billboard above them suddenly fell and sliced off his head, exactly the same way as the white light shown in the photo. Seeing this, George could no longer stand by. He grabbed the weapons, returned home, and the first thing he did was check his son's hair. Hidden beneath it was the birthmark, the number 6. At that moment, George finally understood. The boy really was the devil's son. Just as he was about to kill Jack, the nanny suddenly rushed out from behind him. She was never just a nanny. She was a servant sent by the devil to protect Jack. Luckily, George managed to overpower her. He picked up Jack and ran out of the room. The nanny chased after them, trying to stop him. George hit the gas and sent her straight to meet God. He then carried Jack into a church and pinned him to the ground. Just as he raised the weapon and was about to strike, the police burst in. George was shot and killed on the spot. The priest's plan failed. Evil was never destroyed. At the end of the film, the President of the United States holds a funeral for George, and Jack is taken in by the President himself. What's truly shocking is this: Jack eventually enters the world of politics.